This has been something that's been bothering me. TJ,
Talking about the Amazing Atheist.
Amazing Atheist. TJ is known for anyone who's listened to him for a great deal of time. I don't normally listen to him, but
I do. I've been a fan a long time.
for what little bit I do listen to him, I understand him to be the antagonist. He is the person who goes out there and makes the audience look at him, gets their attention, confronts them with information, and provokes a reaction.
Yes.
That's how I perceive him. But
yes, and he's very fringe. The more
he's
dicey something is, the more he'll jump on it.
On a high wire.
Yeah.
He's very edgy and very, 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 very close to the teeter.
Yeah.
This latest episode that's popped up on our news feed is something I honestly think that he's gone overboard. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not supporting it.
There's no excuse for the things that he said.
No, there's not.
So I'm not even going to try to make an excuse.
So with that being said, there is another issue that I wanted to bring about. There was on one of my other feeds, a person posted something about TJ saying that he condoned rape. And immediately everybody jumped on the bandwagon of banning him and, just saying that he's unwelcome, at any of our events. Well, TJ doesn't go to, one that he gets invited to events and doesn't do public speaking. He's a very private person. You'll notice that he does a lot of stuff, either basements, garage. I think he did one out on a country road. He's very private. That's not the point. The point I wanted to get out was someone made that comment. Nobody looked up the information. A particular person that we've come into contact with recently who does a lot of these organization meetups and stuff jumped on that bandwagon without second thought. Didn't look up any of the information. Didn't even, just basically said, well, I'm in agreement. I find that, unfair to anyone.
It's kind of like these folks who say, well, I ain't read that book, or I don't know what's in that movie, but we don't need that in our schools. Well, you need to take the time to read it or watch it before you ban it. And I'd say that for anybody. I mean, you need to be a healthy skeptic.
Right. You need to see both sides of the story. Now, granted, TJ did come back. He did apologize. But I still have a little sting from what he did say.
Yeah, and, just from my perspective, if I'd had any thoughts of having him on our show, I would have second thoughts right now, just because I think he's going to need some time to process this and to learn from it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in our organization who just do not know what feminism is.
Yeah.
They need to go and just change it, take it out of their minds, and put in gender equality and understand what it is.
I think it would be helpful if it was renamed. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how the sociological definition came about, but I don't want to quibble too much over it because, labels are a dime a dozen. And being a woman, I've been extremely fortunate in the men that I've dealt with for most of my life, especially in the atheist community. Most of them have been absolutely super. What bothers me about this gender equality thing is that everybody has an opinion and everybody likes to tell everybody everything, but we don't ever really sit down and talk about it like a community. And we sure don't listen to each other.
Right. And one of the things I've advocated in quite a few arguments in different news feed threads that I've run into, is like, look, we can argue, but we need to argue, in lower tones, because you're not going to get a point across if you're shouting to be heard.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't produce any positives for anyone else who's on the sidelines, who's watching this happen.
Well, I think part of the problem is that we have a whole internet community full of adolescent trolls who want to argue, and they're overshadowing and outspeaking the intelligent adult, maybe more older, maybe not necessarily older, but the more adult or mature population that wants to discuss it. I think we need more discussion. And I'm talking about discussion where we talk and we listen, men and women working together. One of the things that I found so disturbing, and this is ever since Elevator Gate and now this, is there's been so many guys talking about these man-hating, ball-busting feminazis, and how awful they are. Because I don't agree with that, with being a man-hater. Okay, but I have tried to find them.
I was going to say, you scour every single one of these threads, you're not going to find.
They must be the smartest man-hating group in the whole world, because what's funny is they don't show up on these threads and say anything.
The super ninja.
What those threads are full of, though, are men, usually young males, who are calling women terrible, disgusting things that I can't even say here.
Nope.
And men who support women, calling them pansies and pussies and idiots and other things that I can't say here right now. And the thing that's most disturbing to me is what I've seen tonight from numerous men who call themselves humanist and then use insulting and degrading language towards other men and women that they disagree with.
And they don't even know what a humanist is. I mean, just by their own conversation, they identify themselves at it and then turn around, badmouth males and females. That's not a humanist.
Well, it's a very poor humanist at the very least.
Well, just in the tone.
Yeah.
It's not a person who takes in consideration other humans and their value in life.
Yeah, so I think if we've got a serious problem here because we like as atheists claim that we have this moral high ground, that we're usually, we're good people and we're less represented in the prison population and we've got this moral high ground over all you believers. But you take one look when this subject comes up, I don't see that moral high ground. Right. I think we've got a lot of work to do.
Something else that needs to be done when you see someone make a comment in a negative fashion such as this, the misogyny and whatnot,
or misandry.
What is it?
Misandry.
Misandry.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's against men.
All right. Learning something new every day. If you see that and nobody says anything, then it's accepted.
It's perceived as okay.
Perceived as okay. So you wonder why there are so few women in the atheist community, or there's so few African American or other nationalities? It's because of conversations that they've come across in pursuing to find a group that they can come out and talk to and meet up with and have a support, and they come across a conversation like this. It's no wonder they stay home.
It's possible.
It's no wonder they don't. I mean, we have so many members in our meetups. And we're probably seeing, on 10-15% of our population showing up in our local group.
Yeah.
Which is good. Now, I know that there's money involved and there's, timing and all these other varying factors. But I think there's a little underlying issue with the conversation sometimes gets out of hand. And there are remarks that are made that are derogatory towards other races or women or men or gays or lesbians that kind of shun them away where they don't want to come out or they don't want to visit or they just think that everybody else is like that. They're going to stay in the closet.
Right after the elevator gate thing happened, I really lost heart. About to the point where I was just about ready to just shut down the blog and just say, I'm done. I'm done with you guys. No. But it's one of those things that if you don't stay in the fight, you can't really complain when you lose it because you're throwing away your opportunity. And also, since we've gotten involved in our local communities and met a lot of people, they've really reinforced my faith, if you don't mind me using that word, in the community because, 99% of the people that we have are overwhelmingly accepting and good people, and they, I believe, genuinely care about each other and about people as people. But it only takes that one person opening his or her mouth a little too loudly or at the wrong time or saying the wrong thing or posting something that maybe is derogatory or is making fun of someone in an inappropriate way, and then somebody else looks at that and thinks, is this person going to make fun of my family? Is this person going to make fun of me? Is this person going to out me when I'm not ready to be outed? It only takes one.
Yep.
So, it's that catch-22. We don't want to police each other to the point where we're just as bad as these other groups that tell everybody what to do. But we also have to understand that as a community, we have a responsibility to each other. And, there's just a lot of conversation that we need to have as human beings, people to people, to talk about where do we draw these lines, what's acceptable and what's not. It's because we're not discussing it that we're getting all this hoopty-la. And it's not productive, it's not helpful, it's nothing but internet drama. And, I don't know, it's not good.
No, it's
not good at all. So maybe you and I need to sit down one day and have a podcast or some gender dialogues or something and just talk about our experiences. But right now I got to tell you, just when you think this issue might be settling down a little bit in the atheist community, it resurges with a vengeance.
Yep, and it just gets a little bit hotter under the collar.
Yeah, there's just apparently, it seems to me like there's a lot of mistrust between men and women in general. I have a couple of ideas about that. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, but just something for you guys to think about and think about how we can find good ways to talk about this stuff.
Indeed.
Alright, well, I'm done. It is sleepy time, so I'm going to be signing off.
Well, I got a quote, if I can just...
I will allow it, sir.
Thank you.
You may have your quote.
Alright, this week's quote of the week. No rational argument will have a rational effect on a man who does not want to adopt a rational attitude.
So true.
By Karl Popper.
Very important man. If you don't know who he is and his contribution to science, you should definitely look it up.
I'm Googling it now. Alright. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yep, and until next time.
I'm Twinkie D.
And I'm Nathan Piccolo.
See ya.
See ya. The Deep Fried Freethinkers is a weekly podcast promoting skepticism and science education in the Deep South. Join us on Blogger, Facebook, and Twitter, and be sure to leave feedback on podbean.com. Music is by Kent Gringer on www.jamendo.com and is used under the Creative Commons license. Y'all come again next week for more Deep Fried fun.